I thought of making this recording so that we can prepare ourselves for what we're about to face or what is about to come. Ever since a certain Kenyan put up a page, which is really a petition, asking Kenyans to sign up on it with a target of 15 million, Kenyans have gotten very excited. Okay, Kenyans from all walks of life. Yes. Now, our government is very fond of talking about incitement, people being incited, people being given ideas, etc., etc. But the interesting thing about this idea, I don't know any leader who stood up on a platform and asked people or told people about this idea. Unless you can correct me. Okay? Actually, what we have before us is an idea whose time has come. Okay? It's just pure and simple. And it's very difficult, actually it's impossible to stop an idea whose time has come. Yeah? There's a popular saying to that effect. Yeah? But that's really what it is. And there are obviously reasons why this idea is so popular. Yes? So there's no incitement. But folks, you can be sure the powers that be are not happy about this, and they'll not take it lying down. Okay? They will fight this idea with everything they have. That one you can be sure of. And one of the big weapons, well, it's only logical, is that they'll point you to other places of the world, other countries of the world, where people have tried to secede. I have no doubt you'll also hear about the Biafra War in Nigeria in the 60s. And they will give many other examples. The whole idea will be to scare you, that anybody who talks about an idea of secession is really talking about violence, is really inciting. But is this true? Of course it's not. I'll give you a very simple example. There's a country called Somaliland. It's not yet recognized, but it seceded from the bigger Somalia. They were just tired of all the shenanigans, violence, clan wars, and they've seceded, yes, since 1988. And there was no violence involved, there was no fight involved, they just seceded, and they stayed separate, okay? Now, we in Kenya are even in a better position because it can all be done legally, paperwork. No Kenyan is ready to fight, yeah? And if you don't believe that no Kenyan is ready to fight, look at what has happened after the elections. Yeah? Really, if you want to provoke somebody into war, if you want to provoke somebody to fight, then kill their children. Yeah? But no Kenyans have reacted. Kenyans are not interested in violence. And they're not interested in war. They're not interested in being incited. That is a fact. What most Kenyans want is very simple. They want to be able to control their destiny. Yes. They want to be able to control what happens in their lives. They want to be able to cast a vote and it counts. Yeah? It's as simple as that. Now, of course, the recent election was a trigger because it seems the vast majority, the vast majority of Kenyans do not feel that their vote counted. So it's as simple as that. Nobody's inciting. Nobody wants war. Kenyans are also much more intelligent than most people give them credit for. Okay? Now, it seems that a lot of the people advising this government are advising this government using tactics of the 60s and the 70s, that we saw in the 70s, 80s, where a lot of Kenyans were not educated, yes, a lot of Kenyans were not exposed. That was a lifetime away. Today, Kenyans are scattered all over the world, and they're very influential all over the world, yeah. Kenyans have exposure. Kenyans are very smart people, okay? And you can certainly not shove ideas down the throats of Kenyans. That one cannot work anymore. Yeah? It's as simple as that. So, the Kenyans who are supporting the idea of dividing the country into two nations, yes, so that those who are seen as perpetual election losers, yes, those who are always being told accept and move on, can accept and move into their own country and move on in their own country. It's as simple as that. There are also some Kenyans who have stubbornly refused to think. Yes, they always wait for the propaganda, and as soon as they hear any inkling of violence or war, their brain shuts down. Yes, and these people will be very easy to convince. Just tell them, look what happened in Biafra, look what happened here and there. Wherever people try and secede, there's war. So is it war you want? Yeah, and they'll be easily convinced. Yeah. Nothing could be further from the truth. Now, in a TV interview today on NTV, David Ndii, denied that he's not the person who started the idea. Okay, we all know that he wrote a very famous column, yes, in the Daily Nation, where he talked about Kenya, the country Kenya, being an abusive marriage that has not worked. Okay, everybody remembers that. But now he says, really is not the one who originated the idea. Well, he's saying this with good reason, because he's a strategist with NASA. And of course, NASA cannot be seen to support an idea like secession when they already have their own full plate. In other words, they cannot be at the forefront of such an idea. Not now. Okay? Now, those who understand politics, those who are analysts will know exactly what I mean. But even this is not important right now. What is important, and what is a fact, is that the whole idea has gone viral. People are discussing it online, they're discussing it in Facebook, they're discussing it all over the place, they're excited about it. Not because politicians shoved the idea down the throat, but because they took up the idea themselves and they think it's a good idea. Many Kenyans think it's a good idea. Millions of Kenyans think it's a good idea. It's nothing to do with the leaders. Millions of Kenyans see it as the only way to get out of the vicious cycle which they find themselves in, which is not of their own making. Yeah? Every 5 years, tension during an election. Every 5 years, tension during an election. Every 5 years, questionable elections. Yeah? Elections with a question mark. Yes? And then you're quickly told after the election, accept and move on. Anyway, let me finish this recording by telling you what my personal view is on this matter. Just before the elections, we had some polls. Yeah? I've said in this channel that a lot of those polls were doctored. But there's one statistic which I don't believe was doctored at all. Yeah? Remember the question when Kenyans were asked if you think your country is moving in the right direction? Yes? In some of those surveys, we had as many as 70% of Kenyans saying they do not believe the country is moving in the right direction. I agree with the vast majority of Kenyans. Yeah? Those people that poll represented and reflected. I agree with them. Okay? Right across political divides. Yes? And there's more. I believe that where our country is headed is such a bad place that if we do not take action now, we're just postponing the problem for later. Okay? It also means that we're postponing the problem for our children to handle. If we're too busy right now with our careers, too busy with our lives, too busy with so many things we don't want to be interrupted, then actually what we're doing is that we're postponing so that our children will be faced with the same problem, and by the way, by the time they're faced with the same problem, it will be much worse. Okay? And in Kenya we have, I agree totally with what Ndi said during that interview, Bwana David Ndi, when he said that in Kenya we have this habit of sweeping things under the carpet. That is dangerous. Yeah? I believe that is extremely dangerous. That is the direct highway to violence and problems and all kinds of crazy things, where people end up in so many serious problems. Okay? When you sweep something under the carpet, it's like a pot which you are boiling and you have covered it, and the pot has already boiled, and you let it boil and boil and boil. What do you expect to happen? Sooner or later it's going to explode. Yes? So, I believe Kenyans are very smart, and I believe a lot of Kenyans know this, and they know that this is something that they have to handle now. Not tomorrow, not later, but now. Now, we have tried a new constitution. It has not worked. Yeah? We have tried everything. It has not worked. Yeah? And this is because the political class have held the Kenyans at ransom. Okay? Now, this is why I think the only way out of this, the only way to avoid problems later, the only way to avoid violence when our children are running this country, is to secede, divide the country. Yeah? And then, because you see, we have a political divide which is very deep. It cannot be recovered. I don't think it can. That political divide is just too deep. And it cannot be solved by people making nice statements. Yes? I don't think it can. I think the only solution is for Kenyans to very peacefully, yeah, go ahead with the petition if it has enough support. Yeah? Let them go ahead and secede, have a different country. Of course, they'll also have their own political class, but this time it will be a different political class. And it will be a political class which will be informed by what has happened with the previous political class, the one we have currently now. Okay? So most Kenyans, I agree with most Kenyans who believe it will be better. Not perfect, but better. It will also neatly solve this tribalism problem in Kenya, this tribalism cancer that is threatening to eat all of us. Okay, it will solve it very peacefully. Okay, because the communities in the new country that will secede do not have any problem with each other at all, at all, at all. They don't. And because of this, I think the other country, even without resources, will be able to rapidly develop. Yeah, it's as simple as that. But most of all, it has nothing even to do with the development. It has nothing to do with all those things. It has something to do with the simple thing of a marriage. If you're in a marriage and it's not working, why would you want to stay in it? Especially if you're in an abusive marriage, why would you want to stay in it? Okay? So, even if you're to leave a marriage for a poorer guy, even if you're to leave your current marriage and go to an uncertain future, you'd be much happier. Yeah? Because at the moment, if you're not happy, then there's so many bad things that can happen when you're not happy. So why stay in an abusive marriage? Why stay unhappy for the sake of being seen that you're married? It won't work. So for that reason alone, I believe that the powers that be should carefully consider this idea, look into the future. Yeah, let's not be so blind as to look just 5 years, or when, as soon as I finish my term in power, I don't care what happens. No. I think this is the time, and history will look at you, history will judge you. This is the time for us to rise above all that, yes, and make that decision that is better for Kenyans. And I believe the decision that is better for Kenyans is better for Kenyans to separate, have two separate countries. They can have very close cooperation. I'm sure the cooperation will be better when they're two different countries. Yeah, and then we move ahead from there. That is what I strongly believe from the bottom of my heart. Now, you may not all agree with me, but the last time I read the Constitution, it said there's freedom of speech, there's freedom of thought. Yes, as long as this freedom of speech does not interfere with the rights of others. I have not interfered with the rights of others by calling to arms. I have not interfered with the rights of others by inciting. I've done none of those things. I've just presented an idea. I've even shown a peaceful path it can be achieved. And I've even proved that Kenyans do not want any violence and they cannot be incited at this stage in time. Because already efforts have been made to incite them, or rather things have happened that would have incited them, and they have not been incited. Therefore, let's get that word incitement out of our vocabulary. Okay? For now, let's just get it out of the way. And let's have an open discussion, yeah, as to the way forward. I believe discussion is very good. But I believe clamping down on social media, clamping down on the press, don't report this, don't report that, those ideas from the 60s and 70s. They'll only get us into more trouble as a country. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha. In this recording, I've talked a lot about the interview of David Ndii on NTV with Larry Madao. And this is a good chance for you to catch that interview. If you didn't, just click on the link on your top left-hand side of the screen right now, and you'll go to that interview. Very interesting interview, discusses a lot of very interesting things that you'll find fascinating. Thank you.